seem to be outmaneuvering the vortex. You see, the trick is to remain flexible. So what I do next makes no sense at all. What I do next is everything I have been trying so hard not to do. I take the detour I should not take. I lose control. I stop the car in San Vicente. I let the vortex take me. Oh, there are young girls in school uniforms outside the Brentwood Mart, so it must be after school. Hours must have passed. How long have I been gone? Did she wait? Does she think I left? Was she alone thinking I broke the promise? Pleated uniform skirts chopped off into minis. Angel 10th graders just pushing the dress code. Oh, in the back of my closet I still have one of her chopped off skirts and her volunteer pinafore from St. John's Hospital and a little black dress I bought her when she was 3. Black wing, brown wing, hover over. 20 years, and the spring is over. Today grieves, tomorrow grieves. Cover me over, light in leaves. I would read her that poem to go to sleep. And she always woke in Malibu just when the tide turned and the sea went silent. This was never supposed to happen to her. When I got to the hospital that afternoon, I could not find a parking place on the Plaza 4 level. Plaza 4 means you park outside and not in the structure. Plaza 4 is important to me. Plaza 4 represents a routine. And when I couldn't find a place, I lost that sequence. And as I sat in my car waiting for a space, I realized that I cannot will her to be safe. I saw the extent to which I have been operating on magic. If I follow the rules, if I learn the language, well, I followed the rules. I learned the language. I learned the significance of midline shift, fixed and dilated pupils, the difference between a staph A hospital infection and a staph E hospital infection, and what it will mean when each becomes resistant to bank, and I still can't keep her safe. Must you always be right, Johnson? Must you always have the last word? Huh. Certainly don't have it now, do I? If I can get her pronounced stable and discharged, I can remove her from here. We've had enough of IVs and CAT scans and swallow tests. See where they're getting us? Nowhere. She needs to be in the water. She needs to let what hair she has go green from the chlorine. They cut off half her hair in the OR, and the rest got cut in the ICU. But it's already growing back. Baby hair. Feathers, like a duck. But we could get it properly washed at the Beverly Wilshire. And she and I could sit outside and have our nails done together. You think I'm crazy? Hmm? You think I'm crazy because otherwise I'm dangerous. Oh, radioactive. Hmm? If I'm sane, what happened to me could happen to you. You don't want to hear what I have to tell you. You want me to give you a good prognosis. I can't. So it's safer to think I'm crazy. Fine. Doesn't matter to me. I was crazy for a while, but I'm not now. After 5 weeks, they pronounced her stable enough to be transferred for neurorehabilitation. I make arrangements with the Rusk Institute in New York. And this transfer will require trained medical personnel. Arrangements are made to medevac her. An ambulance from UCLA to an airport. An air ambulance to Teterboro, New Jersey. And an ambulance from Teterboro to NYU Hospital. Records are faxed. A CD-ROM of CAT scans is prepared. A date is set. Friday, April 30th. The arrangement complete, I sit in the sun outside the hospital and I watch a helicopter circling to land on the roof. Helicopters are always landing on this roof, suggesting trauma all over Southern California. Remote scenes of highway carnage, distant falling cranes, bad days ahead for the husband or wife or mother or father who have not yet gotten the call. My call is behind me. I'm taking her home. The day of the flight unfolds like a dream from which you cannot escape. I mean, there's the question of whether the plane is at Burbank, Santa Monica, or Van Nuys. And there's the insistence of the ambulance driver that since no plane is in sight, you must be going by helicopter. I don't think so, I say. It's 3,000 miles. The plane is finally located, a jet Cessna, with room for 2 pilots, 2 paramedics, the stretcher to which Quintana is strapped, and if I sit on the bench over the oxygen tanks, we take off. I have with me a red suede Prada bag she was carrying the day she flew to California. And when I opened the safe that morning at the Beverly Wilshire, I took out a plastic pouch reading UCLA Medical Center specimen for laboratory. I put it in the Prada bag. And by smoothing the plastic, I can see what was sealed inside when they were taking her in for surgery. Her watch and her wedding rings and the little diamond earrings Susan Traylor's mother gave her when she was part of Susan's family and Susan part of ours. When Susan would go with us to Honolulu. And one morning in Honolulu, John insisted that they come in from the water and go with us instead to the Honolulu courthouse where we were covering a prostitution trial. I mean, it's his way of keeping them safe from drowning. Improvised, like everything else in our life. Flying blind. Why did I think this improvisation could never end? We fly for a while, and I keep checking the bag to make sure I haven't lost her rings. I have her rings. I have her. I turn my attention to the paramedics. And one of them has a digital camera and keeps taking pictures of what he keeps calling the Grand Canyon. I correct him. I say, that isn't the Grand Canyon. It's Lake Mead, Hoover Dam. I point out Las Vegas. He keeps taking pictures and he keeps calling it the Grand Canyon. Fine, fine, it's the Grand Canyon. I shift my position on the bench over the oxygen tank so I can no longer see out the window. We land in a cornfield in Kansas to refuel. The pilots strike a deal with the 2 teenagers who manage the strip. During refueling, they'll take their pickup to a McDonald's and bring back hamburgers. And while we wait, I walk to where the tarmac ends and the corn begins. There's a slight rain and unstable air, and I imagine a tornado coming. John wrote a tornado into his last novel. And 6 weeks after he died, I read The Galleys in Quintana's room at Columbia. And in the passage about the tornado, there was what could have been a typo, a dropped word. I thought of adding the word, but did not. If I added a word he did not want, he might not come back. And today, at the end of the tarmac, I realized something. I'm no longer waiting for him to come back. That's gone. I lost him. He can't come back. He's dead. He can't hold on to her in the water any more than she and I can go back to Malibu. The Malibu house was a tear down. Black wing, brown wing, hover over. 20 years, and the spring is over. What exactly was so wrong in thinking he could come back? Wasn't it getting us through this? What can get us through this now? Back in the plane, I take out a hamburger from the McDonald's bag and I tear it into pieces so Quintana and I can share. After a few bites, she shakes her head. She's only been allowed solid food for a week and she can't eat anymore. There's still a feeding tube in place in case she can't eat at all. Am I going to make it? She asks. I choose to believe she's asking if she'll make it to New York. Definitely, I say. Definitely you will be okay in California, I said 5 weeks ago. That night when we arrive at NYU, Jerry and Tony are standing outside to meet the ambulance. When Jerry asks how the flight was, I say we shared a Big Mac in a cornfield in Kansas. It wasn't a Big Mac, Quintana says. It was a quarter pounder. Do you remember I said I gave her a bracelet like this one? I gave her this one. I have the Prada bag too. And the black dress she wore to John's funeral. I sent the dress to Susan Traylor, and the little diamond earrings Susan's mother gave Quintana.